You went from Aaron Rodgers to Zach Wilson. And that really sums it up. It's cruel. It's just a cruel twist. Is there any chance, Rita, you watch football for a long time, is there any chance that you and I and everybody else, we're all underestimating the abilities and the potential of Zach Wilson, that he may be able to come in knowing that he's the guy now, and he's had like a summer apprenticeship, a summer internship with Aaron Rodgers, that maybe he's capable of doing more than we think he is?
Maybe. I don't know. I wasn't high on Zach Wilson coming out.
Maybe.
I say that because I wasn't high on Zach Wilson coming out of BYU. I mean, I thought he was decent. I just didn't think that he was. I just didn't think that he was decent in terms of where he was drafted. I thought he would go to the NFL. Just didn't think that I thought he was a guy that you would, develop and sit him on the bench for a little bit. They threw him right in the fire, but that's who the Jets are, and that's what they do. I mean, listen, you hope that Zach Wilson learned some things from Aaron Rodgers in his short time with him. But ultimately, it basically is boiled down to, has Zach Wilson, number one, won the respect and love back from his teammates? Because we didn't forget what happened last year. We didn't forget that Zach Wilson did not take accountability in a loss, that they did nothing on offense, and then his teammates was wearing T-shirts. We saw that. We didn't forget. So you have to wonder if he is, has repaired his relationship with his teammates. And then now you hope that him and Nathaniel Hackett can come up with some ways to try to get him in good situations. You alluded to that interception last night. Terrible. And again, the Garrett Wilson touchdown should have been a pick as well, because he didn't throw it on the outside. He threw it on the inside. So that's the issue. I mean, you know that there's talent there. Just because I didn't think that Zach Wilson deserved to be drafted as high as he was, doesn't mean that I don't think that he had some talent. I feel the same way about Trey Lance as I feel about Zach Wilson, but I also think that Zach Wilson is in a position now where, unfortunately for him, there's too many good pieces around. So now the pressure is going to be, if this was a pressure cooker, it is through the roof. He has to come in and immediately find a way to be impactful for this team. They have too much talent on both sides, Holley. Now, that offensive line stinks. Let's start there. Right. I don't know what to say about that. So they're going to have to find ways to get that ball out of his hand fast. I do think that Breece Hall and we know Dalvin Cook will help him go along the way. And you can do play action. You can find ways to help him, but he's going to have to find a way to get it quick, fast. They play the Cowboys, who we just saw do what they did to the New York Football Giants in that same stadium the night before, this coming weekend with Micah Parsons and company. So you saw what Buffalo did to that line. I don't know what's going to happen this weekend.
Well,
that's
wait a minute.
The scary
part. All right, listen, we're going to hear, because I have a thought on that. But first, let's hear from the Jets, the devastated Jets after last night. And then I have a thought. On what you just said about Zach Wilson and the Jets and what they can do. Here's Robert Saleh, I believe.
I have so much love for him, so my heart goes out to him. I have no idea what's happened. I got to see him at halftime for a second, but I know. He'll find a way to keep working to get back, but that's tough. It hurts us as a team, But my job as a quarterback is I got to step up, and I got to be able to be efficient as I can in that offense. And a lot of emotions, right? Like week one, opening day, trying to learn as much as I can from this guy, but I also got to make sure I'm ready to go. And so a lot of emotions. You got to be able to try and stay calm and, go out there and try and perform the best you can.
We still have a lot of faith in him. I think we've proven that by keeping him here and continuing to invest in him, and excited for him and his opportunity. What you love about Zach is just his mental makeup, the way he approaches every day, and how much confidence he has in himself. And I thought today was a really good example of what we think of him and how he can play. And he's going to be great. Yeah, he is.
Okay, that was Zach Wilson and Robert Saleh. So Saleh at the
Give
end.
me your thoughts. Okay, I need to hear this.
Okay, here we go. I'm gonna play mediator and parent. Okay, This is my. I'm gonna put my parent hat on, which I wear every day. Every day. You do too, Reeta. And I'm gonna put my mediator hat on because I understand everything you said about Zach Wilson is true. He did not take accountability last year. That game was just right down the street from where I am. They played the Patriots at Gillette Stadium. The final score was 10-3. They lost the game similarly to the way they won it last night. It was a close game. It was headed to overtime. Not in overtime. Marcus Jones gets a punt and returns it for a touchdown. They lose it 10-3. Now he gets a punt and returns it for a touchdown. So Zach Wilson was not the punter on that. He was not a part of the return team. I know he threw for fewer than 80 yards in the game. He was terrible in that game.
So we should start and stop there.
Hey, no, but I'm going on. Let me keep going. Because you know what? Right. Zach Wilson, I'm going to assign responsibility to him. Yes, he deserves some responsibility and some blame for what he did last year and for what he said last year. He didn't get it. And the coaching staff got it. They understood how much he didn't get it. And they almost saved him from himself by benching him in favor of Mike White. But I just don't like the narrative that the reason the Jets lost their last 6 games, they lost 6 games in a row in 2022. A lot of it, let's say, give 55% of it to Zach Wilson. Hell, give him 75%. But he ain't the only reason. You lost your composure, you lost your mettle, you lost your resilience. Everybody's involved, from the front office to the head coach to other guys in that locker room. You're part of the reason you lost 6 games in a row and finished 7-10. So, look, this year, Zach Wilson, he's got some changes. He started to make some changes, but the locker room does too. They got to change their mentality because they got enough. They got enough to kind of cobble it together and make the playoffs. Yes, they do. So I that's the one thing about the Jets. I don't feel sorry for them. Their mentality, I don't like it. It's a little broken mentality. It's a little unrealistic. You're 7-10. You're not just 7-10 because of one person, no matter how badly that a person performs, even if they play the most important position on the field. Sorry. You can do better. He can do better. They can do better too.
But I feel like that they've done that this offseason with the additions that they've made. Well, again, I have to see more from that offensive line.
A lot of it's here, though, too. A lot of it's up here.
Absolutely. I agree. And I agree that structurally and organizationally that plays a part into what we call trickle-down economics, right? Into what they are. So I agree. And I wonder if a guy like Aaron Rodgers can change the culture in terms of like how organizations feel in that regard. When you feel like you have a guy that can be a leader and that can really do things for your organization, I wonder if it was just too much pressure on Aaron Rodgers that I'm sure Aaron Rodgers was okay with taking, because we know the type of guy Aaron Rodgers is, right? We know that he likes that type of stuff, but I wonder if it was too much pressure for Aaron Rodgers to save them from themselves. So now they're back to square one. What does that mean? And of course, I think that you have to say that Zach Wilson has to start. But what does that also mean for who's backing Zach Wilson up? If Zach Wilson struggles, do you call Joe Flacco back? Do you call Matt Ryan? Do you call Carson Wentz? What is I know it's not pretty, but what's the backup plan here? Because if you go back to what you did last year, you need a backup plan. I don't know what that backup plan is, because the backup plan is now plan A. What's the plan B?
Right.
That's the question.
And I have been very critical of Robert Saleh's former organization, the 49ers, for making excuses about, hey, if we had done this at quarterback, we'd be in the Super Bowl or whatever. And they've cycled through the quarterback position. So that's one, that could be a negative, but that's also a positive. Yeah. Because that's also a strong defense. And they have gotten degrees of success out of Brock Purdy. They've gotten it out of Jimmy Garoppolo. They weren't quite able to get it out of Trey Lance. So those are so Brock Purdy, Jimmy Garoppolo, two guys they really didn't plan on. They thought it was going to be Trey Lance. and it became Garoppolo one year, and it became Brock Purdy another year. So the Jets are going to have to find that guy. Going to have to find somebody who's not spectacular. There are a lot of guys out there who are just okay. It's got to be a game manager.
Yep.
It's got to be somebody like I would go with, and this is, I'm telling you, there's no great name on the street right now where you say, there's the answer to solve their season. But I think they need another, they need somebody else in that locker room who's got the wisdom and a little bit of ability to understand what's around him and what he can and cannot do. It's Colt McCoy-ish, somebody like that, where you bring him in and you know that you're not going to ask him to throw it 45 times a game. But if Zach Wilson doesn't get it, somebody who can come in and get you through a game. And it's kind of like, you mentioned Fitzpatrick, Rita. It's kind of like what Fitzpatrick became in Tua's rookie year. Like Brian Flores, Tua didn't like it. Whenever Tua would do things that Brian Flores didn't like, he'd bring in Fitzpatrick just to get him through a quarter, get him through a half. Then they go back to Tua. Then they go back. So you need somebody like that who you can kind of yo-yo, but it's not a disaster. Because I tell you, I can't stand excuse makers. I don't want another year of the Jets saying, we could have if. Well, this is where you are right now. Aaron Rodgers is out for the year. You drafted this guy number 2 overall. If you don't think he was a bust, and Saleh just said, we believe in him. That's why we didn't. That's why he's still here. Okay, he's still here.
Yeah.
Okay, he's still here. He's a number 2 overall pick. Figure it out.
Yep.
If that means Nathaniel Hackett has to scale it down to 35% of the offense, and you do what the Steelers did in Ben Roethlisberger's rookie year. You know what they told him at times?
Oh, yeah.
They said, first read. They said, first read, you ain't looking all around. You first read. If the first read's not there, it's like the first 8 games for him. If the first read's not there, okay, that's it. But you're not looking at the whole field. You're not going to cost us. You're not going to cost us a playoff appearance. We're going to really limit the playbook for you. So that's what the Jets have to do.
And they went 15-1. Remember that Steelers team went 15-1. So we know that it can be done. Now I don't know what that's going to do when you get to the playoffs, but you would like to think that Zach Wilson would be more comfortable because this is his second chance to get it right. So he has to get it right now. And hopefully the talent around him will allow him to get it right. And help him along the way. There's just too much talent on this roster for him to really mess up. Again, I don't love that offensive line, but there's ways to scheme to help Zach Wilson in order to get that ball out faster or in order to give him more time in the pocket. You can do that. You can scheme that up. So I hope for Zach Wilson, whatever lesson he learned, hopefully he did learn one last year, he's taken that in and helped himself learning from Aaron Rodgers while he was there, and now he can formulate that into being the starting quarterback that the Jets need because they need a starting quarterback. They are ready. They just got to get a guy that can make some plays.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.